Hello sim racers, salute to everybody. Starting a new series here now with Assetto Corsa Competizione. I know I'm late, as usual I start after everybody else. It's a lot already about talking this and because now lately it came out in PS4 and that's the one I got. So I decided to make some videos about it, but I'm not gonna start putting up any setups yet because I really didn't fiddle with that part. I just been working on the pilots thing, the drivers. So I just been doing my stuff like everybody else, trying to get my ranks up and working on all this pesky stuff. It's very difficult to get it because it's hard to gain points and very easy to lose them. What I miss or I don't like in the game, I'm not going to talk about the whole game. I'm just the stuff that doesn't interest me. It's a lot of videos talking about the good things and the bad things and all that stuff. But the thing I would like to have in the game that we don't have is a place where you can go like the training sessions and work on your car, do your setups and all that without losing your ratings. Because if I start working and start doing setups, I have to push the car. I have to go over the limit to see where the limits are and what the car can and cannot do. And as soon as you start running out of track, you start losing points and everything. You start losing your, let's say here, your constancy. You can lose your control of your car. Your safety ratings go like downhill very fast. Your racing craft takes everything in conjunction, it takes everything in account, so you lose stuff very fast. That's what I hate from the simulator. That's my only complaint about it. The rest, it's already been talking on the internet, so I'm not going to talk about it. And I'm going to start by talking about the ECU maps, because it's something that everybody's having headaches with it. At the beginning when I started looking at it, I was like, what the hell is this? So just make a long story pretty short because I don't want the video to be too long as usual. So I'm going to start with Aston Martin, and I'm going to tell the numbers which thing is each number. So this goes for the Vantage V12 GT3 and the V8 Evo. And we got for this one, like all the cars, they have the eco maps set up for dry and wet. And I think we'll see later on, McLaren and somebody else, they even have their eco maps settings for damp. So let's go to the cut the cheese and see what we have to see for this one. Let's start with it. Dry maps, we got number 1. It's the fastest high fuel consumption. So it's the fastest we got with also the highest fuel consumption of it. You want to fly, you have to pay. 2, it's a bit slower with normal fuel consumption and aggressive throttle maps. On number 3, it's also a little bit slower with normal fuel consumption but a progressive throttle map. Number 4, we got slowest, less fuel consumption with progressive throttle map. So here we got that 3 and 2 are pretty similar. The only difference is on 2 it's aggressive throttle map, and on 3 you got a more progressive throttle map. For the wet ones, we got number 5, similar to the dry number 2 and number 3 maps, with normal fuel consumption with slightly progressive throttle map. On 6, a bit slower, less fuel consumption and progressive wet map throttle, wet throttle map. On 7 we got identical to the 6 with more progressive throttle map. And then we got number 8, that is for following the piece car. So there the map lower consumption, so you're not racing, you're following the piece car, so the consumption comes down and you can preserve fuel for the race. I don't think we're going to use that much. I don't know, maybe some people using races with piece car. I didn't see anyone yet. I really would like to race one with all that stuff in it, but that's all we got for the Aston Martin, the Vantage V12 GT3 and the V8 Evo. Okay, so our next car, we go for the Audi. The next car is the Audi, and for the Audi it's for the R8 GT3 V12 GT3. That's a beast. It also got 8 numbers on it, and for dry maps we got number 1, fastest high fuel consumption. 2 and 3 are a bit slower, normal fuel consumption, 2 different throttle maps. I repeat that one. Number 2 and 3 are a bit slower, normal fuel consumption, but with 2 different throttle maps. They are different between them. Number 4, it's the slowest, less fuel consumption, same throttle map, has level 3. So we got a slower one, but with the same throttle, has number 3. For the wet maps, we have number 5, fast map, normal fuel consumption with slightly wet throttle map. 6 and 7, a bit slower maps with lesser fuel consumption and different wet throttle maps between them. So yes, try them out and see which one you are better, feel more comfortable with it. And on 8 we got again the map for the following the piece car to save consumption during the piece car. That's all of it. That's for the Audi, the R8. Now we go with the Bentley. For the Bentley 2016, 2018. We got the dry maps and the wet maps as usual. Okay, like everybody else. There we got number 1, it's the fastest high fuel consumption. Number 2 and 3, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption. 2 different throttle maps. Try both out. Let's see which one you go more comfortable with. Number 4 is slowest, less fuel consumption, same throttle map, has level 3. Number 4, slowest, less fuel consumption, same throttle map, has level 3. For the wet, we got number 5, fast map, normal fuel consumption with slightly wet throttle map. 6 and 7, a bit slower map with less fuel consumption and 2 different wet throttle maps. So again, try both of them. Let's see on the wet with which throttle map you can handle better the car. You feel more comfortable with it. And number 8, again, it's for following the safety car. That's for the Bentley 2016, 2018. Here we go, that looks nice. Here we got the BMW M6. And let's go with it. Now here it's a little bit more mixed up. Germans doing their things. And we have number 1 and number 3 dry maps. Yes, number 1 and number 3 are dry maps. Number 1, fastest, very high fuel consumption. Aggressive throttle map. 2 and 3, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption. 1, linear throttle map. 1, gradual throttle map. I know it's a little bit confusing the way these guys did the thing here, but we got that 1 and 3 are just for dries, and in that range we got the 1, it's the fastest, very high fuel consumption. You want to go very fast, you have to pay for it. Aggressive throttle map, so we got on that one a very aggressive throttle map. 2 and 3, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption, and 1, linear throttle map. 1, gradual throttle map. And number 4, we're not going to touch that because it's not for us, it's for the engineers. So it's a map that it's very low on power. That's for the engineers to do their things, the things engineers do, and work on it. So number 4, it's totally out of limits. We don't use that unless you want to end up being the last one on purpose. On the wet maps, we got 6, fastest high fuel consumption wet throttle map. 7 and 8, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption. 2 different wet throttle maps. So 6 and 8 are a bit slower with normal fuel consumption, but between them they have different wet throttle maps. So have to try both of them and see which one you are more comfortable with. And then 5, we didn't talk about the 5, piece car, lower consumption, lower power. So on BMW they have number 5 has the map for the piece car, just to follow the piece car. Next car, we go. Here we got Ferrari 488 GT3. Let's go with this one. Dry maps are number 1, fastest, normal fuel consumption. 2, a bit slower, less fuel consumption. 3, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption. 4, slowest, lowest fuel consumption. For the wet, number 5, fastest, normal fuel consumption. Wet throttle map, less linear, more gradual. 6, a bit slower, less fuel consumption, wet throttle map. 7, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption with throttle map. 8, slowest, lowest fuel consumption, wet throttle map. 9 till 12 reserved for the piece car, low power maps and lower consumption. They didn't do it very difficult this time on Ferrari. They took it quite more easy. Next one, go with the Honda NSX GT3. This is the Evo. So we go here now, and we take, where was it? I'm lost now. Yeah, sorry. Where did it go? Yeah, that looks nice too. Yeah. Okay, let's run this one. Okay, for the Honda GT3, we got 4 for the dry maps. For the dry maps, we got number 1, full power progressive throttle map. Number 2, full power linear throttle map. Number 3, full aggressive throttle map. Number 4, full power very aggressive throttle map. It's even more aggressive than number 3. For the wet, we got number 5, full power progressive throttle map. Number 6, full power more aggressive throttle map. Number 7, less power and consumption progressive throttle map. And number 8, again, to follow the Peace car, very slow, very low consumption. That's for the Honda NSX GT3. Now we go with the Jag. Have to go now here. Now we have to go because they don't got it there. Different years. And Jaguar looks nice. I don't think it's racing anymore. I think they changed it. Yeah, they changed for the Lexus. This team changed for the Lexus. Okay, let's go. Jaguar GT3 dry maps. Number 1, fastest, very high fuel consumption, linear throttle map. Number 2, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption, linear throttle map. Number 3, slower, less fuel consumption, linear throttle map. For the wet, we got number 4, fastest, very high fuel consumption, wet gradual throttle map. Number 5, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption with gradual throttle map. Number 6, slower, less fuel consumption, wet gradual throttle map. In this car they don't have the map for the safety car. This thing is pretty old, so I think this thing drinks one way or the other. It's gonna end up drinking. That's why maybe they didn't put it in, or maybe just because it's an old car, I don't know. That's what we got. So let's go for the next one, and we take since we are here, we're gonna take this one, the Lamborghini Gallardo. For the friends, it's the Rex, REX GT3. Okay, the ECU maps for this one, it's pretty simple because this car is very old. So we got just the dry maps. They don't have any wet maps on this one. So you're up on by your own when you get on wet, whatever you can. So let's go. Dry maps. Number 1, fastest high fuel consumption. Number 2, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption, aggressive throttle map. Number 3, identical to number 2 with progressive throttle map. So number 2 has an aggressive throttle map and number 3 has a progressive throttle map. That's the difference between them. Number 4, slowest, less fuel consumption, same throttle map, has level 3. So we get it, it's slowest with less fuel consumption but has the same throttle map, has level 3. That's it for the Lamborghini Gallardo REX GT3. They don't have no wet for that one. And here we got also the Hurricane GT3, another nice car, 2015. It's the very old model on this one. So let's go for the Hurricane. We got dry maps. Number 1, fastest high fuel consumption. 2 and 3 are a bit slower, normal fuel consumption, 2 different throttle maps. So you have to try both of them again and see which one suits you better. Number 4, slowest, less fuel consumption, same throttle map, has level 3. For the wet, we got 5, fast map, normal fuel consumption with slightly wet throttle map. 6 and 7, a bit slower map with less fuel consumption and 2 different wet throttle maps. So again, try both of them and you see which throttle map suits you better. That's for the Lamborghini Huracan GT3. And now we have, oops, sorry. Oh, come on. There we go. Lexus RSF GT3, the team that was running before the Jag. I think this is the car they're running now. I think that's the change they made. Okay, let's go with the Lexus RCF GT3. Dry maps. Number 1, fastest high fuel consumption, linear throttle map. Number 2, identical to number 1 with aggressive throttle map. Number 3, identical to number 1 with progressive throttle map. Okay, I'm not repeating, just put again, get it. For the wet, we got only number 4 with fuel saving wet throttle map. That's it, very simple. And number 5, it's for the Peace car, so it's the lowest consumption, low power. Very simple for the Lexus. They did make it easy for themselves. Okay, so let's go for the next one. I hate having to go out and then I don't know. Okay, now we go with the McLaren 650 S GT3. That doesn't look bad, looks nice. Yeah, so let's go. Number 1 for the dry ones. Number 1, fastest normal fuel consumption. Number 2, a bit slower, less fuel consumption. Number 3, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption. Number 4, slowest, lowest fuel consumption. That's the dry ones. For the wet, we got number 5, fastest normal fuel consumption, wet throttle map. Number 6, a bit slower, less fuel consumption, wet throttle map. Number 7, a bit slower, normal fuel consumption, wet throttle map. 8, slowest, lowest fuel consumption, wet throttle map. And number 9 for the piece car, like all the others. The next McLaren now, have to go to the 2019s. And that's the 720S. 720S. Yeah. Okay, now for the McLaren 720S GT3, the ECU maps. Hold your machos, because we got 12 here, so there we go. They have 7 dry maps, 2 damp maps, and 3 wet maps. So let's go. Get some air, breathe in, and I don't know, I think they overkill it a little bit with all those maps, maybe, but let's see it. Dry maps. Number 1, qualifying, fastest, aggressive throttle map, high fuel consumption. Number 2, race 1, a bit slower, linear throttle, normal fuel consumption. 3, race 2, the other one on race 2 was race 1, a bit slower, linear, normal fuel consumption. I'm getting confused myself. And number 3 has race 2, a bit slower, progressive throttle map, a bit less fuel consumption. Number 4, race 1, fuel safe map, less power, linear throttle map, low fuel consumption. 5, race 2, fuel safe map, even less power, linear throttle map, even lower fuel consumption. 6, race 3, fuel safe map, lowest power, linear throttle map, lowest fuel consumption. 7, high temp, very low power, high temp, very low power, and very high consumption to cool off engine for emergency situations. I don't think we're going to use that one very much, so that's going to be happening during a race. So just stick for the first 6 ones and know about those. For damp weather, damp tracks, we got 2. 8, damp qualifying progressive throttle map, high fuel consumption. Number 9, damp race fuel safe map, less power, progressive throttle map, low fuel consumption. Now the wets. For the really wet track is number 10, wet qualifying, wet throttle map, high fuel consumption. 11, wet race 1, a bit slower, wet throttle map, normal fuel consumption. 12, Wet race 2, bit slower, wet throttle map, normal fuel consumption. This is the most confusing car of all of them, so just rewind the video back and listen to it as many times as you need, because it's, I don't know, I think McLaren went a little bit over their heads on this one, a lot, but that's what we got, that's what they're using, so that's what we get from them. Oops. What we got now? Mercedes. Another one that looks nice, not bad. Okay, Mercedes AMG GT3. Dry maps only. Yep, that's what I got here. Yes, they got just only dry maps only, and they got 3 maps. So number 1, fastest high fuel consumption linear throttle map. 2, a bit slower normal fuel consumption linear throttle map. And 3, slow low fuel consumption linear throttle map. That's it. They didn't, Mercedes AMG GT3 didn't complicate things much for themselves, so they just went on the easy part. Thanks. So on wet you are on your own, gentlemen. Now let's go with the Nissan GT-R GT3 2016-2018. Okay, that's Nissan GT-R 2016-2018. And for this one, doesn't look bad. Okay, they also have, like Mercedes, they only have the dry maps. They didn't complicate it too much. This car's been around for a while, so let's go with, they only got 4. That's number 1, fastest high fuel consumption linear throttle map. Number 2, a bit slower normal fuel consumption linear throttle map. Number 3, slower less fuel consumption linear throttle map. Number 4, fuel saving linear throttle map. I think that 4 you can use it when you're following the safety car, because it's just saving fuel, so that's the idea they got on that. That's our GT3. I did it again, sorry again. And we go with the last one, not least one, and here they complicate things again a little bit more. Here come the Germans again with it. So they got, for the Porsche 991 GT3R, Eco Maps R10, and here we go. They only have dry maps, no wet maps, and it's not an easy car to drive. I will explain that whenever I get a chance on the aero stuff, when I talk about that. Now let's concentrate on the Eco Maps. Number 1, normal power and consumption, less progressive throttle map. 2, normal power and consumption, progressive throttle map. Number 3, normal power and consumption, aggressive throttle map. 4, normal power and consumption, linear throttle map. 5. Qualified power, high consumption, least progressive throttle map. 6. Qualified power, high consumption, progressive throttle map. 7. Qualified power, high consumption, aggressive throttle map. 8. Qualified power, high consumption, linear throttle map. 9. Low power, low consumption, progressive throttle map. And number 10, very slow map and very low consumption for the piece car. That's it. You will have to listen to it again because they just going on high power consumption and less, but the differences are really in the when you 1 to 4 and 5 to 8, where they change the progressiveness of the throttle and the aggressiveness of the throttle maps. And that's pretty much everything for the cars. 15 cars I think we got there. So as usual, for all you sim drivers out there, I hope the video can help somebody out there with it. I know it's a little bit complicated, just have to listen to it again and again, and I hope you're lucky with it. And thanks for watching. I let it here. I don't want to make it even more complicated than what it already is, so just go slowly through it and listen to it when you need it, or write it down after you listen to it. And we'll do it writing, but not very good at editing, and I don't have the time. I'm rushing up a little bit for all this stuff. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope it really helps somebody out there and get things a little bit more straight out with these ECU maps and all that stuff that are mind-blowing sometimes and very complicated if you don't get them right. So but once you get them, I don't really feel much with them for now. So thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy and drive fast. See you on the next one.